what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seeking Spirits. So today, we are just going to talk about some background on some paranormal experiences that we have had.
Yes. What have kind of formed the way we look at things now as far as paranormal is concerned.
And why we're so interested too. I mean, obviously we touched on our dad and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. So just like a trigger warning for parent loss, because, you know,
it's rough.
Yeah, that grief can hit you out of nowhere. So if you're right in the midst of that, maybe come back to this episode later if you want, or skip it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It won't hurt our feelings. We totally understand. Like we just said, we went through it, so we know how tough that is. So
yeah. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there because we know it's rough.
Even when we're like joking about like DDC and stuff like that, like I said, that's kind of our dark humor way of getting around grief, but like we really fully realize that's a super serious topic. And not everyone kind of uses that to get over grief. So there's different tools. Exactly.
And that just happens to be our
go-to.
Yeah, our tool of choice for like the whole family too. It's really dark. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so we had some experiences, and we still kind of do, relating to the death of our father, that we want to share with you guys, and that we feel are things that he does to communicate.
Yeah, it kind of piqued our interest a little bit in like the paranormal even more, because we're like, God, sure seems like we're being communicated with here a little bit.
The synchronicities of stuff. And it was very like specific stuff.
Yeah.
That there's no way. Like it was a coincidence.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
A lot of it's pretty personal stuff, but it still hits pretty hard. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. And so but I want to preface this by saying these things may not seem super dramatic to somebody that is not us, because it was just like super personal things to us. But we would love to hear your stories about this, because I'm sure there are so many, passed on loved ones that try to just like send their love, let us know.
Contact you somehow and just give you some type of sign and stuff like that. It's super interesting stuff.
It is. So I'll pop into my experience that I just thought was really cool. And you guys are going to be like, what the frick?
It's still pretty cool, I think.
It is. Yeah. So I'd like to preface this story by saying that my dad's song for me was Katy Perry's Firework.
Our dad was a goofball.
He was. And
hilarious.
He was like kind of a sap too, but like low key.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Old school Italian sap, like didn't want to show it, but he definitely was sappy.
Oh yeah. He would like leave, literally anytime I came down, he would leave photos of me and him as like when I was a child, like on the dresser.
Oh my gosh.
Like in the room that we were staying in.
And he put it down like, this is just so beautiful.
Yeah. One time he sent me a car commercial. On Dustin and I's like 3rd or 4th anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
He sends me this car commercial and he's recording the screen of a YouTube video of this.
Using his phone to record.
Yeah, using his phone to record.
So precious.
Yeah, a YouTube video of this 3-year-old car commercial.
Such a boomer move, but so precious.
It was really sweet, and I am really hoping that I never delete like anything off my phones, and I still have like all my old phones, so I'm really hoping I can find it. That's so good. Yeah, if I can find it, I will insert that clip here because I think everybody should see it. But I should mention he was quoting it and crying in the background as he recorded it. It was a car commercial.
What an absolute legend.
Yeah, it was a car commercial about like they were taking the dad was taking his daughter to like her wedding in this car. It was great.
That's pretty legendary.
Yeah, so that just goes to show our dad's kind of like style of showing us he cares. And he would always like sing a lot of songs too that he did not know the words to, but he was trying.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of the one he did, but I can't think of it now. But he used to routinely get the words wrong on like this song that like everyone knew.
Yeah.
I think it was like "Rock You Like a Hurricane." He would always say "Shock You Like an Animal." which is just not even close.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway,
So about like, I would say this happened maybe like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there's that part in the Katy Perry song where she's like, do you ever feel like a plastic bag?
Do you ever feel? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, Nick, you don't want to get us demonetized. True. I'm just kidding.
Cut that. Bleep that out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Dustin, bleep that out.
You have the voice of an angel. Like, what if they sue you? A
dying angel. But
God, that was morbid.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. You can sing. But yeah, so the song that's just like, do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind? Now, listen, you guys are going to be like, Lexi, there's always plastic bags drifting through the wind. Not in New Jersey.
Not in Jersey.
Because the day we moved here was actually like the day that they banned plastic bags in New Jersey.
True story.
Yeah. So we never see plastic bags out ever.
I haven't seen a single one since I've been here.
Yeah.
And to I know that kind of seems silly, but in South Carolina, they're everywhere.
Yeah. And so it's like kind of a normal thing, like to see plastic bags like blowing in the wind or like off to the side of the highway, but really not here. Mm-hmm. Because it's been about 6 months.
Yeah.
So
it's good enough time to get them get those dirty bags off the streets.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was literally telling Dustin this story about my dad and the Katy Perry song and how he was telling my best friend in high school, Chanel. Hi, Chanel, if you're watching this.
Shout out to Chanel.
Yeah. You know, how he was explaining to her in the car while I was at cheer practice that, like, this was his song for me and that, you know, he's like, she's my little firework and all this stuff. And I was just like, I was just reminiscing on that and telling Dustin the story. And literally, we're in the car and a yellow plastic bag is literally, as I'm saying, like we're making fun of the song, being like, do you ever feel? And then it's just this plastic bag. And me and Dustin were like, oh my God.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. And that might not seem like super, you know, hardcore evidence, but it was just something so personal to me that it was like, dude, come on.
Almost all of those kind of experiences people have, though, are like pretty personal to some degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And not that he was necessarily moving the plastic bag, but it was like the sequence of events, like what were the actual chances that a plastic bag would be drifting through the wind in New Jersey?
It like makes you think. It's like, what are the chances like the universe just works out like that?
Right.
Which is like, these are the things that make us be like, we want to know.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
What's going down on the other side?
Exactly. So that's pretty gnarly though.
Yeah. And then you should talk about your experience. Yours, I think his is much more profound.
It's weird. It definitely is weird. So we were at Dad's funeral. We went back up to Virginia. We're from Northern Virginia. So we went up there. Shout out to Manassas Park Community Center. Let us hang out there for free for my dad's memorial. All my friends came. Well, a couple of my friends came. I don't have very many friends, but the best ones came. Shout out Paul. Shout out Bruno. Shout out Scott. So yeah, we were just like kind of hanging out, and there, if you know me at all, like Lexi can vouch for this. Like I don't drink. I'm kind of an introvert. I play video games. I'm
surprised you came here.
Yeah, I sit at my house and play video games and watch Netflix and YouTube paranormal shit all night. But they were like, let's go out and have a drink after this, and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm going to be a little long-winded with this story, but you'll see why in the end. So they eventually kind of talked me into it. I'm like, sure, when this is over, we'll go get a drink at a Glory Days. The Glory Days is pretty prominent there. There's a bunch of them. And the hotel we were staying at is like 45 minutes away. It's pretty far.
Yeah.
And I don't drive. So I had to get a ride back to the hotel. And my friends were like in different areas, like in opposite directions. So we were like trying to figure out which location we wanted to go have a drink at. So we're like, we'll go to the Glory Days, like down by the hotel, which is like 40 minutes away. And then we're like, maybe we decide a few minutes later, maybe we'll go to this other one in like Centerville, which is a little bit more in between. So it's a little bit easier. And then Lexi catches wind like an hour later that we're going out, and she's like, I'm coming. She just invites herself, which is an important part of the story, because that's a very Lexi thing to do. But we love for her and her friends to come, and we had a great time. But
yeah, we did.
So since she was coming, she was staying at the same hotel as us. So I had a ride home. So we're like, instead of making our friends go like all the way away, 30 minutes away to this Glory Days, let's just go to the one in Manassas, the one we've gone to so many times, the one by our old house, like literally 2 minutes away. So this is like a 2-minute car ride to this Glory Days, like super close. And this all matters because if we didn't change these locations and wait this specific amount of time, none of this would happen. So for a little bit of more backstory, our dad's nickname was Gare Bear.
Yes.
I literally had like an Oakland Raiders jersey with his name on it. If we can get the picture, maybe we'll throw it into the podcast.
Yeah.
But so I'm wearing the jersey. It says Gare Bear on it. Me and Paul and my fiance Sarah hop into his car, and we're driving to Glory Days 2 minutes away. And we're just jamming out some music. I'm showing some music to my friend Paul. And this car pulls in front of us. And no shit, the license plate just says Gare Bear.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking weird.
The day of his funeral, like right after we left. Yeah. Well, celebration of life.
That is so weird. Like, what are the chances that happens?
Yeah. And I know that like Gare Bear it's not
super common.
It's not super common. I think a lot of people maybe named Gary might go by that, or like you hear the Jare Bear, like for Jared or whatever, but
just like, the chances of that car specifically in that 2-minute time span.
In our hometown, right after.
When we easily could have been going to Centerville. We could have easily been going to South Riding. Like we were going to different places. Like that was a last minute call to change that. And like all of these little things that made it just that specific moment where that car pulled in front of us, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it happened on purpose.
That is wild. So like that was kind of my moment where I was like, whoa, this is too weird to be a coincidence. Like this is just wild. For sure. So that one kind of opened me up some, and I was like, man, there could be something here. We need to look into this stuff.
Yeah. And I think that kind of, I had always sort of, ironically, because Nick is the one that is a lot more into, paranormal investigation and like consuming content on that. Yeah. But I have always had a knack for the psychic and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have some untapped psychic ability within you. I think you've began to tap into it a little bit. So before
we hop into this and you guys think I'm woo-woo crazy, I think that psychic abilities, everybody has them, and it's more about intuition. I think everything is energy, and we could totally get into that later.
Yeah.
So there's reasons I feel like my experiences are valid and not just me making it up in my head because it's what I want to think. Because some of these things were kind of dark, I'm not going to lie. And actually, I don't know if I told you this, but so Dustin and I had seen my dad 2 days before he passed. And I remember getting in the car and being like, I should have hugged my dad more. And I was having, and I do have really bad anxiety. But this was like, it was specifically about dad, and mom was there too. So it was like so odd.
Yeah.
And it was almost to the point where I almost made Dustin turn around. And I wish I would have. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I have to get over my anxiety. Like I have to.
You just got to push through.
And that is like a knowing that something was going to happen. But I didn't know that. I thought, oh my gosh, this is like really bad anxiety. But I have had other paranormal experiences or psychic experiences. So I'll touch on that a little bit. One, my friend, I'm not going to name him because I'm going to make sure that before we actually put this in that he's cool with me sharing this story, but I think he would be. One of our friends that we cheered with, we had this long drive to our cheer, to our facility because we lived about like an hour and a half away. So we would carpool. And one night we're on the way back home from cheer practice, and all of a sudden, like Dustin's asleep in the back of the car, mind you.
I love him in this story. Dustin's my favorite part of the story, by the way.
Yeah. So I am seeing something like in my mind's eye, not physically seeing it, but like, I don't know if other people experience this. So let me know if this is your perception.
We could sound cuckoo crazy here. We're fully aware of that, and like we said, we don't quite know. Like, even though you feel like you have some psychic ability, or like you're kind of touching the surface, you don't know for sure. And
do I just really have good intuition?
Yeah, we're learn. That's part of this, though. We're trying to learn and harness this and like kind of figure it out. So
yeah. So hopefully people who follow me for like my home renovations aren't like, oh my gosh, she's crazy.
Oh, I did like your home reno, but I don't know.
I don't know about you.
You're doing in that witchcraft wizardry stuff. Get her out of here.
Yeah. So, I'm just like seeing this old lady in my mind's eye, very specifically with these large round glasses, and they were very prominent, right? Just very prominent glasses. And she kept saying a specific phrase to me. I can't remember the phrase now. And I was so confused, and I couldn't stop hearing this phrase in my mind. So all of a sudden, I turn to my friend who's driving, and I say, I don't know if this means anything to you, but I'm seeing this lady. I describe her glasses, and she's saying this. I'm like, I don't know what it means. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh my gosh, that's my grandma, and this is why this phrase has significance to me. I'm being vague just for his privacy.
Yeah.
But, and Dustin yeets up out of the back seat. He was asleep. He just like, oh my gosh, this is happening, Lexi. And it was just so crazy because I didn't know, and like we were friends, but I didn't know about his family. It wasn't like one of those like hometown friends where like you grow up with them, you meet their whole family. You know everything
about them. It's not like you were cheer friends, right? Or
yeah, and we had met like a year or two before, but like when you're adults, you don't really go back to like
childhood,
right?
Yeah, it's not really
right. So it was just like this crazy thing, and it is still I think it's the most profound experience I had, because that was like,
that's pretty wild.
It was. I have never again experienced that intense clarity of somebody coming through.
That's pretty crazy. I don't know how I would react if I like saw that, like you said, in like your mind's eye.
Yeah.
I've thought about that too. This is like kind of like a weird thought I've had about like, what if like, we go and investigate all these places, and then one time like you finally tap into whatever that is, and like you just walk into a place and all of a sudden you can see everything.
I've thought about that, and I think, okay,
that would scare the shit out of me.
Listen, I've had other experiences where I can see things in my mind's eye, but nothing has been as clear as that.
Yeah.
That was like, it was so clear, I could have drawn it for you. Her image
that's so wild.
Is still burned in my brain because it felt very real, like she was in front of me. Not that I could physically see her, but in my mind's eye. Mm-hmm. So I've had other experiences such as that, and I've actually tried to tap into it. I still do, actually. Mm-hmm. I do meditation, and I will, hold certain crystals. If you think, at best, they're pretty rocks if you don't believe in like the energy that they possess. But personally, I think they got a high vibe. I like to have them around.
There's nothing wrong with thinking this stuff is like off or anything like that. It's like just all our personal opinion and stuff like that. None of us know. No one knows what's right and wrong.
Yeah, so you can think we're totally crazy and still want to like watch.
You can comment down below. You're crazy.
Yeah, and that's fine because we might be.
We kind of are crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah, but I have seen my grandmother.
When Grandy passed.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
grandfather.
Thing. Yeah. So I remember there was 2 instances with this, and one day I was on my way to cheerleading practice. That seems to be a theme.
Cheerleading equals visions of dead relatives.
Okay. Yep. I guess honestly,
once
it
again,
might.
The dark humor. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys.
You're kind of right.
Yeah.
So, in this, it was like for school cheer. So our school was obviously super close. I'm riding with my bestie, Jessica.
Shout out, Jessica.
Yeah, shout out to Jessica. And in the middle of this like 5-minute car ride, it just starts, like as soon as we arrive at the school, it starts pouring down rain. And I get this full body feeling that's like, you need to go see your grandfather right now. He's going to die. And this is your last opportunity to see him. And it was kind of a big deal because, you know, I couldn't really miss cheer practice. Yeah. But I walked in, I told my coach what was going on, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I know that it's not the time, because we had like a really big competition coming up. And I was like, I know it's not the time for me to skip practice, but I feel very strongly that I need to go, and this is the last time I'm going to see him. And she was so sweet about it. She was like, absolutely, you do what you need to do. So I call Nick, I get in the car, and it stops raining, by the way. It was just when I had this intense moment, it just was pouring, and I was like, what the?
Like you were like flooded with emotions as the rain flooded down.
And I actually, every time I get in water, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, they say water is a conduit for this kind of thing. Like it can like carry energy and stuff like that, which is kind of cool because one of the locations we're going to is right next to a large body of water. So
oh, true. And it is raining
a lot.
So should be interesting. But I call Nick and I'm like, yo, Grandy's going to die.
Yo,
you want to come?
Dying.
Yeah. I was like, you want to come with me?
And of course I pick up the phone like, what?
He's like, you're insane. He's like,
calm down.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I drive out there by myself, and he, you know, was still like pretty lucid. I mean, he wasn't in like a super declining state. I think, you know, did he have dementia?
Yes.
Yes. He had dementia, but he remembered me.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people will say that you have that moment of clarity before you go to be able to say goodbye to your loved ones. And so, I said goodbye to him. I walked out vividly remembering this was the last time I was going to see him. About 2 days later, I'm going to bed, and TMI, but back in the day, I just used to like sleep in a large shirt and like, you know,
that's
underpants.
Everyone sleeps like that. So.
Whatever. But I specifically remember because my mom was at my grandparents' house, like taking care of.
Yeah, them. It was pretty apparent it was going to happen soonish. We didn't really know. It wasn't like it's definitely happening tomorrow, but it was like but hospice was there and stuff. So like he was on the decline.
Right. But he wasn't like bedridden. Like he was sitting at the table with me, like looking at this, because he was an artist, looking at this
amazing artist, by the way.
Yes. Love. I wish I had more. But looking at these ceramics that I had made him in art class.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And fully like there. So anyway, like 2 days later, and you know, that might be like, oh, well, he was doing really good. So in my mind, I'm like, am I wrong? Like, is he doing better? I don't know. So before I go to sleep, I'm like, I feel like I should put on some like pajama pants, because I feel like Nick and Dad are going to come down in the middle of the night, wake me up, and tell me that my grandfather has passed away. And that's exactly what happened. And before I got woken up by Nick and my dad, this image is also burned in the back of my brain of them sitting on the side of my bed, like gently waking me up. My grandfather, I see him fully in my dream, and he is like, I'm okay. It's my time to go. I love you.
He was a legend, by the way.
He was a legend.
Absolute legend. I actually have the picture of over him.
Yeah.
We need to hold that up later, maybe show everyone if we can. But
for sure.
So cool.
No, we'll do it
after.
We'll
show it after. But
and so I remember, and I don't know, I'd like to get your recount of this, because I feel like as the years go on, I get a little fuzzy with it.
Yeah.
Because also I was like just waking up. So I was like, what is reality and what is like my dream world? You know, when you first wake up and you're like in a super deep sleep.
Groggy.
Yeah. And you're not really sure what is what. And it takes you
half not there.
Right. Like it takes you a few minutes to get out of your dream, or like if you had a dream about something really bad and then you think it really happened in like real life when you wake up, and it like ruins your whole day.
Oh, it can ruin your entire day.
Yeah. So, I was kind of in this state of like, but when he came to me, I was okay with it because he made me feel like, oh, I'm at
reassurance.
Peace. Yeah, like I'm okay. And it wasn't like a sad thing. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, obviously I was sad that he had passed away, but I remember when I woke up, I don't even think I cried. Like for about until we got into the car.
Yeah.
Because I was confused. I was like, I already knew this.
I'm just relearning the information I already knew. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I was back in the reality of like physical life.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't a dream anymore. It was real.
And once I really woke up and it finally hit me, I was like, oh my God. And then I started crying.
Yeah. I just remember coming down. I think Dad asked me to come down because we were like, well, you know, it'll be easier. The more people that were there to console you would be better because it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. So that I just remember coming down and waking you up, but I don't think you told me about that until later.
Yeah.
So,
well, because I felt kind of uncomfortable about it. Not that the experience was uncomfortable, but I was like, everybody's going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah. And that's kind of why we keep like harping on about that. It's like, there's a little bit of insecurity about that kind of stuff. When you have experiences like that, like even though they're super profound to you, to like share them with other people and to think that people are going to listen and be like, what an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's bullshit.
Like, it's kind of, and it's such a personal thing too about like your passed on family members. So
it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to share. So commend you for sharing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hers are a little tougher to share than mine. Mine was just kind of like, what the.
Right.
But yeah, it's cool though.
It is. I mean, it's just interesting. So
it is.
I don't know if, I don't know how that happened. I don't really, but I've had way more. That's the thing.
I definitely do think you have some type of psychic ability that you probably could learn to harness.
For sure. And I think everybody does. And I think it all stems off of like your intuition.
What is that saying? You only use like 10% of your brain or whatever. I know I'm butchering this, but like, it's kind of like that. Like if I feel like you said, most people kind of have that, and that unless you're like looking and learning ways to like use it and understand it, that it's just kind of like confusing and you might not even notice it.
Well, and that's the thing too. I think everybody can at least say that you've had a gut feeling about something.
I had similar thing with Dad when he called the last time I talked to him. He called me 4 times in a row to help him like to learn Cash App because he had to like send his buddy some money or something like that. And it was like,
no, he was trying to, you had sent him gas money.
I had like paid him back for something at Costco or something like that. And he was trying to like put it from his Cash App account into his bank account. And
before he came to
visit, like to pay for gas or something like that. And he, so he called me like the first time and he's like, oh, how do I do this? And like, I explained it to him. And he's like, okay. I hang up the phone and I immediately get a call again. And he's like, I think I messed up. And he accidentally, instead of sending like the $40 that I had sent him to his bank account, he like added $40 more to his Cash App.
He wasn't very
no. And then like eventually I had to literally put it on speakerphone and open Cash App and like walk him through it. But when I hung up the phone, I remember thinking like, I wasn't like, and I'm not saying this because I was like being like a dick to him. Because, when you're like, when you don't know, it's like you get like 4 calls and you're like, oh my God, like you don't know how to use technology. Like, oh my God. Come on, Dad.
Yeah. Like,
and like,
I've showed you 5 times.
I felt like that internally, but I wasn't like mean about it. I didn't say anything like, come on. When I was like, we were laughing about it on the phone when I hung up. And then I just remember hanging up and like kind of being like, thinking for just a split second, like, what if that's the last time I talked to him? I'm glad I wasn't like mean about that.
Yeah. And it's so crazy.
It is, because it was legit the last time I talked to him. Yeah. So it's like, why did that thought come into my mind?
In my opinion, and I think that we have free will, and maybe this is getting into a whole nother topic. So
this is all touchy subjects.
Yeah. So feel free to cut me off. I think that we have free will in life, right? But I think that in our lives, we do have a predetermined path. And we do have free will to maybe shift and go in different directions. But I think that no matter what, we always end up in the same place. And what's like that phrase, like what's meant to be will be. Mm-hmm. And so even if you decide to like veer off the path, it might take you longer to get back on and get to where you needed to go, but you will eventually. Yeah. So I think that because of that, you can almost feel this like energy of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's more about that gut feeling, that pit in your stomach, that like knowing, you know, when you're like, I don't know what to do in this really difficult situation. Yeah. And you're like, 3, 2, 1, pick. And your gut will tell you immediately what you need to do.
Kind of stuff happens to me all the time on like smaller scale. I've started to notice it more where I'll like think about something and I'll be like, all right, you know, this could happen. And I kind of, a lot of the time I'll realize it more when I ignore it.
Interesting.
So like, I'll be like, you shouldn't do this because this might be like an outcome or something like this. This is like, there's a chance this could happen. And I kind of ignore it.
And then you get
that's
it more?
That's exactly what happens.
That's actually interesting because I was just about to say the complete opposite.
Really?
Not really. When you acknowledge it, it starts to happen more.
Well, no, what I mean is like, I don't think I'm trusting my intuition.
Understood.
So like it happens a lot and I think I'm starting to notice it more. So like now more, if I get like an intuition feeling like that, I'm like, you should listen to that a little bit.
Yeah.
Put a little bit more weight into that.
I can say without a shadow of a doubt, my gut has never been wrong. I have had times where I didn't listen to my gut.
Yeah.
And that didn't end up good for me. So I think everybody has the ability. It's just like when you acknowledge it, and too, when you acknowledge those like signs and synchronicities from like your past loved ones, I literally, as I'm looking down at the recording, it was 3333. So that's another acknowledgement.
That jersey that says Gare Bear on it, the number's 3. That's my dad's favorite number. So
yeah.
Like little silly things like that. They all add up though.
Yeah, when you acknowledge it, it's not that we're looking for it. You don't go like looking for it because then it won't. I probably
looked at that clock twice during this whole time. We've been filming for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like.
So it's those little things, when you start acknowledging them, they happen more and they'll happen in bigger ways. So I think that just goes into like the whole psychic ability thing. And I don't really think it's like a psychic ability. I think it's just an ability that we all
kind of
have, but we either choose to acknowledge that it's there or not. And either way is fine. Mm-hmm. But I think the more you use it, it's like a muscle.
Yeah.
And then you're able to control it more.
Yeah. I think you've already acknowledged it. We're kind of acknowledging it. I think you just need to learn to harness it. Because I think you're like, to what you're saying, like, I think we all kind of have it to a degree, but I definitely think you have a lot more experiences than most people I know. So I think you might already kind of tapped into it a little bit more. So let us, if you like have experience with this kind of stuff and you have any tips on how to like harness this, or like, you know, just thoughts on how it works or any of that stuff, comment it down below, because we just want to learn.
Yeah.
We want to like figure this stuff out. I mean, we probably won't ever figure it out because I don't think anyone has.
Yeah. I don't think you know until you go.
Until it's too late.
Yeah. So it's just really interesting. And I mean, I've gone to psychics and every single one of them pretty much has always been like, you already knew this though. Like you have to, like, you need to trust your gut. Like, you know what's happening. You just needed me to validate it for you. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I still go to my psychic. Love her.
I've never been to a psychic person.
No?
No, but I have had a psychic come meet with my ex-wife and tell her that we were going to get a divorce.
Whoop, there it is.
Yikes. So that psychic was spot on. Thank God.
Wait, was that when? Okay, this might. Oh my God, yeah. Well,
it's okay. We're over that.
Yeah. and we can cut this out if you want. Was that when she came to my house and we went to that psychic like festival?
No.
That was a separate one.
She invited one to our mother's home, sat down with her and talked to her. And yeah,
Why have you never told me this?
I mean, I don't like to bring up that.
Well, fair enough.
That who shall not be named. I don't really care anymore. I just like there's no reason to talk about it. I'm completely past it. So it's like,
well,
I just kind of brought it up because it kind of was. It made sense that it's a psychic being right, but whatever. I'm pretty close to the chest when it comes to like emotion and stuff like that.
Yeah,
pretty stern.
I would agree. I feel like we all kind of are. Like I've had to like, well, not Dustin. Yeah, I share too much on the internet though. Like with what I'm doing.
I just shared too much on the internet, like literally 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's kind of like the floodgates open. Like when I started doing social media and I would like go live, and I still go live like a lot on TikTok to like do my projects.
Live is dangerous.
Oh yeah, because so I shared too much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like if somebody's sharing their experience with me and I have like an experience that's similar and to like validate them and to make sure that they feel heard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm going to share it. Even if like, whenever I posted that Dad had passed away,
mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little choked up, got so many messages
mm-hmm.
from so many people who had just lost their parent.
Yeah.
Or had lost their parent maybe the day before or whatever. And they were just like, thank you for like sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Because like
it helps. They feel heard because it's like, someone else feels the way I feel.
Because when you're in grief, dude, it's like, okay, and it's like not linear at all. I've said that many times. It will hit you like a bus out of nowhere. Yeah. But like you feel really alone because of course, like, what I'm going through and Mom and Jackie and like, our family, but you're not always feeling it at the same time.
No. And it's different. People feel stuff differently too.
Yeah. And it can be so intense. And after a while, it's kind of like that thing after all of like the service is done and the flowers stop coming and the cards and the people checking up on you.
Yeah. And then you're left with yourself.
You're left with yourself and you're like, does nobody care that my dad's dead but me?
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. And then, so when you share that, then other people are like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah,
I'm valid for what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And isn't that a bitch? Isn't that like the whole thing of everything that we have to like sometimes give ourselves permission to feel our feelings?
It's crazy.
Ugh.
Ew.
Feel your feelings.
Feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's validating. So, I mean, even though you're kind of opening yourself up almost too much sometimes when you talk about that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's a positive to it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like therapeutic for you too to get off your chest.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to be, and here too, I think we just want to be authentically ourselves.
Yeah. Open and honest about stuff.
Yeah.
Like even if it's like we said, like even if some of the stuff's silly, like we're just sharing our experiences and we want to hear yours too.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be super interesting to hear if anybody else has had like similar experiences to me.
Yeah, definitely comment those down below and stuff like that. And we might even do like an episode where we like talk about them, other people's experiences and stuff that they were similar to ours. And we just kind of want to delve into all that stuff. So.
Yeah. So yeah, now that we've shared far too much.
Way too much.
On the internet, where it will live forever.
Yikes.
I think that about wraps it up for today's episode.
Yep. Yeah, and we just want to clarify, like, we don't know what we're talking about. We're not professionals. Even when it comes to, like, when you're going to start seeing us investigate and stuff like that, we're just learning. So any tips you have, any, pointers, any comments, throw them in the comments down below. Let us know. We're open to all the ideas.
And we also are we're trying to be super respectful. about all of this. Yep. We know that these are sensitive subjects. And so we just want to bear that in mind, that as we navigate our grief and learning about the paranormal, that we are in no way, shape, or form trying to like disrespect the dead at all.
No, even though like we do have like a dark sense of humor sometimes, and like we like to joke, we said that that's kind of like our way of getting around it and stuff like that. But we're going to take this super serious.
Yeah.
Like, even though we don't, we have a lot to learn, we're going in like open-minded and respectful.
Yeah, because you will see on some ghost shows where they like yell at the ghosts.
We are not going to be provoking and stuff like that,
and they like curse at them and stuff. And no,
that isn't us.
Yeah, so. we definitely won't do anything crazy of that like nature.
That. No.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, we might make a joke here or there because that's just us. Like, but we're not going to be disrespectful. It's the main thing. That's
For sure.
that's like we want to hammer that home. That's not something we want to do at all.
Yeah. So that's it for us today, guys. Yep. And make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of the places. All of them. And make sure you drop your comments below about your experiences, where you want to see us go.
Any and everything paranormal.
Yeah, let us know. So we'll see you next time. Peace.